Yesterday, a letter was circulated by the Bishop of Speyer in Germany regarding blessings for irregular unions. And I've done a Google translate of this letter. I'm just going to read it out because I do find it very interesting to see what's being discussed in Germany. So just listen to this letter and I'll give my brief reflections on this. Apologies if it doesn't read well, but it is a Google translation, but it's pretty clear what he's saying. The Bishop of Speyer to all priests, deacons, pastoral and community advisors and assistants in the Diocese of Speyer. Dear fellow brothers, dear pastoral care workers, at the last meeting of the Synodal Way in March of this year, it was decided with a majority of 93% to enable blessing celebrations of people who love each other. In the meantime, a working group set up by the Bishops' Conference and the SDK was set up to prepare a handout in this regard. After the discussions and reflections on the pastoral synodal path as part of the Autumn Bishops' Conference, I would like to address you on this important pastoral question. For some time now, we have been striving in our diocese to provide pastoral care, touched and moved by God's humanity, for couples who, for various reasons, cannot and do not want to receive the sacrament of marriage. Based on my long-standing pastoral experience, I am also moved by great need and deep longing of many, not frequently, deeply religious people, for God's blessing and the Church's benevolent encouragement for their life together with all the searching, failure, new departures and happy finds, that is, with what makes human life so deeply fragile and precious at the same time. For me, Jesus' instruction from the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, "Judge not, lest you be judged," Matthew 7:1, has increasingly become an essential key for a pastoral ministry based on the gospel of Jesus, as I also see it in the oft-quoted words of Pope Francis, "Who am I to judge?" Both with regard to believers whose marriages have broken down and who have remarried, and especially with regard to same-sex oriented people, it is urgently time, especially against the backdrop of a long history of deep hurt, for a different perspective to find a pastoral attitude inspired by the gospel, as many of you have been practicing for a long time. This is why I have campaigned for a reassessment of homosexuality in church teaching in the synodal path, and also voted for the possibility of blessing ceremonies for same-sex couples. I stand by that. I hope that on the path of the World Synod, this urgent question of our time can also experience good further development. On this path together with the Universal Church, we can and must ask ourselves, how can we approach people who, out of honest faith, ask for God's blessing in their community in a sincerely caring manner, through the blessing, the salvation that accompanies their life's journey, to promise a bringing closeness to God, and thus to be able to give them a sign that the church, that they belong in the heart of our community. The blessing in the name of the church witnesses to these believers that they are not left alone by God in their situation, and wants to encourage them to find the way which God in the community of the church. It is clear that it is not about celebrating a sacrament, but rather about a blessing. The church's primary task is to bear witness to the boundless and unconditional love, affection and mercy of God. Actually, the church's primary task is to save souls. Anyway, acts of blessing address people's deep longing for salvation, recognition and security. Here it is important to develop a pastoral approach that is sensitive to the injuries often suffered by people in the church space, the loyalty and commitment that is themselves lived very sacrificially in such relationships, and therefore testifies to our Christian faith certainly has its own value in the eyes of God, and therefore also participates in God's history of blessing and salvation with his people. I therefore ask you, as pastors of our diocese, to approach such believers with great pastoral sensitivity if they ask, to work with them to find ways that are suitable for them so that they can experience God's blessing for their shared journey through life. Nobody is forced to hold such blessings, but my request also means that no one who carries out such blessings has to fear sanctions. On the contrary, it is important to me that we give these believers a clear sign of God's closeness in the community of the Church. It may be that the domestic setting possibly also that the blessing of the shared apartment is more suitable for receiving a blessing. A blessing ceremony can also take place in the church or other suitable location. The celebration must differ in the words and symbols for the church wedding, and as an act of blessing should expressly reinforce the love, commitment and mutual responsibility that exists in the couple's relationship. Empathy and discretion are required here. A handout from the German Bishop Conference with a suitable blessing form is currently being developed. Until it is complete, the work aid from the Association of Catholic Family Education and Pastoral Care can serve as an orientation and guidelines. Page 52 publication is available to download from the AKF, Association of Catholic Family Education. If you cannot reconcile a blessing with your conscience and understanding of your faith, interesting, we've different understandings of faith, then I respect that decision. In this case, however, refer couples who ask for a blessing to the Episcopal Ordinate, to the bishop. In the future, you will be able to contact a placement office in the main Department 1 Pastoral Care and will be referred to pastors in their region based on a list. In this regard, I am grateful to pastors who are willing to lead such blessing celebrations in the diocese beyond their own pastoral care area, so that the list mentioned can be created for further distribution. I ask you to register. The Episcopal Ordinate should be reported in the Episcopal Ordinate should be reported to the email blah 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 by mid-November. Wow. I cordially invite you to the training course Valuing Difference on Wednesday, November 15th, November 2023, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the Caritas St. Hedwig Retirement Centre. Experiences can be exchanged and questions can be clarified. Many couples' prayers for blessing reveal a deep longing to be able to live their lives together under the protection and guidance of God. What is evident here is a longing for God and goes beyond boundaries that have been drawn so far. This should be taken seriously and points to a biblical promise of God's presence wherever there is goodness and love. With the responsibility of blessing celebrations, we want to do justice to both God's mercy and the situation of people. Let us talk and pat together and remain in dialogue. With my heartfelt thanks for your pastoral service, Dr. Karl-Heinz Weissmann, Bishop of Speyer. So there you have the letter from the Bishop of Speyer. I will be interesting to see, will the Vatican be rushing to get the nuncio to do a visitation of the diocese in the next couple of days? I doubt it. I doubt it very much if you'll see a visitation going into the diocese. You will see a visitation into the diocese of Bishop Strickland, of course, or the Bishop of Toulon, or any of these other dioceses that seem to be doing something traditional, because that's the new hate word in the church, traditional. You know, can't have priests wearing cassocks, can't have them saying traditional Latin Mass, can't have them promoting communion, kneeling on the tongue, or things like this. Can't have them promoting things like this. Dirty thing in the church today to be promoting. Or, for example, quoting certain passages from this book is called the Bible. can't have them doing that, you know. Love is love. Love is love. Love is love. Let's just park that, and you're not to judge anybody. And, you know, just keep that catechism and sacred scripture away from Catholics today. Because dare we challenge people? Oh my God, dare we challenge them with the faith and the traditions and the theology of the Catholic Church today? Dare we challenge anybody? Oh no. Love is love. Be kind, be nice to the birds and the kitties, and eat your vegetarian meal and cut your carbon. Okay, so anyway, this is an interesting time. We'll just see how this plays out. I do find it interesting that the bishop's saying to his priest, look, the bishop is actually dividing his diocese, because he's saying to his priest, look, if you don't agree with this, that's fine. You don't agree, but you have to send these people to me and to other priests in the diocese, and we'll have a list of people that will do this in the diocese. This is exactly the logic we had during the abortion referendum. Copy paste. My God, it was during the abortion referendum. Look, if you don't want to do an abortion, that's fine. We respect your conscience, but you have to send these people to other people, so that, you know, you have to be complicit in the evil. You have to be complicit. You know, you that's fine. You don't have to do it, but you have to send people to other people that will. You have to refer them to others. I kid you not. And we went from 2,000 abortions to 10,000 abortions in Ireland. That's fine. You know, this is as the Catholic Priests Association in Ireland says, we can't be dogmatic about this. We can't be dogmatic, and we can't tell people what to do. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Be kind, be Catholic. Don't use profane language, but I'm just asking people, what do you think of this? What is the truth we Catholics need to align ourselves to? You know, can we just, you know, our theology should be founded on sacred scripture and tradition. You know, how we teach, preach, live the faith should be founded on sacred scripture and tradition. How we challenge people has to be founded on sacred scripture and tradition, the catechism of the church. You know, so ask the question, guys, what is going on? Where have we gone? And if this continues to permeate in the church, you will have a de facto schism, because there are priests that will never, ever accept this. And there are bishops in the church that will never, ever accept what Germany is doing. And you will have a de facto schism, which I think you already have in place anyway. You know, so we'll see where this moves forward, and you know, it will be interesting times. But anyway, love is love. Who are we to judge? Stop judging people. Stop judging. You know, and in 10-20 years we'll have euthanasia on demand in our churches. We might even have euthanasia pods in our churches, the way we're going. Because who are we to judge? Anyway, who are we to judge what you want to do with your life? Love is love. You know. People who love each other should be respected. Love is love, and the church should bow down to the spirit of the age. I mean, our seminaries have been promoting this culture for years. Diocesan seminaries. That's why we have the last diocesan seminary in Ireland is practically empty, because of the culture that is promoted for years. We know this. And if this culture that you've been promoting for years goes to the episcopate, what is the culture that a bishop is going to promote? Well, it's the culture he lived in seminary. That's the reality, guys. This is what we've faced in the church. Pope Benedict has spoken about it. You don't have men that are able to stand up and preach us the faith because they've lived in a culture that is anti-gospel. Love is love. And under that banner, you can do whatever you like in life. You know, who are we to judge you? You know, we're not. The gospel is not there to challenge anybody anymore, to change lives. It isn't. Let's just park it. Let's just rewrite sacred scripture to the modern era, and ignore what we don't like. Love is love. God bless you. Let me know kindly what you think in the comments. But I do find it a very interesting discussion that's going to play out in the church. I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. This culture that has been permeating seminaries for years. Fully, most German seminaries are empty, as we saw, and hundreds of thousands of people are leaving the German church because, you know, that it's what does it stand for? What does the faith in Germany actually stand for anymore? The Catholic faith in Germany stand for? Like, really, what does it stand for? What is the truth we need to align our lives to? What is? Ask the question. Ask the question, guys. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.